Are you tired of inting teammates? Do you want to take matters into your own hands? Well, you've come to the right place, as we'll be breaking down the absolute best solo carry champions for all roles in 11.22. If played to their potential, these are the picks who will provide you with the greatest ability to influence games on your own. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Alright, let's get started. Direct buffs aren't the only cause for a champion's rise in power, as indirect changes can be just as impactful. A prime example of this playing out has been the recent rise of Nasus. With countless top laners like Fiora, Riven, Renekton, Aurelia, and Aatrox all indirectly nerfed, Nasus has room to leapfrog them in priority. Camille, being as broken as she is right now, is one of the few matchups you gotta worry about, so banning her is a great plan. Teemo is pretty annoying after his recent buffs, so he's a good ban option too. Other than those two matchups, Nasus has a pretty easy time against other meta picks. You run Fleet as the keystone and grab second wind so that your early sustain is completely nuts. Those runes combined with Doran's shield and your passive makes it really difficult for the enemy to punish you early. Nasus has always been that champ regarded as having a weak early game, but it's not even all that punishable due to this setup. There are two really strong build paths you can use. A heavier offensive setup consists of Divine Sunderer into Stoneplate second and Sterix third. For more tankiness and defensive power, a Frozen Heart second and Spirit Visage third works great. We're going to come out on a limb and say this is the last patch you will have to abuse Tahm Kench in his current state. Tahm has only become stronger over the past 2 patches due to so many meta tops hurting from item and rune changes. Easy to pilot tanks who deal a ton of damage tend to be really influential for solo queue, but Tahm takes that to another level. Laning is very strong. You have amazing gank assists due to the gap close from W, and can soak ungodly amounts of damage due to E. Darius is one matchup who is on the more difficult side after his recent W buff, so using your ban on him is a wise idea. A Gauntlet Rush provides you with permanent sticking power, while Anathema's Chain slotted in second makes it so difficult for the enemy to beat you 1v1. Grasp is the best keystone, followed by Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Unflinching. Triumph and Alacrity are the best secondaries. Pick up Doran's Shield as your starting item, and you should notice a trend here with Tahm and Nasus. Both champs abuse heavy sustain setups, which makes it so difficult for the enemy to punish you in lane. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that Camille is absolutely insane once again as a result of 11.21 changes. Being a Grasp user who rushes Divine Sunderer, Camille mains are loving the way the meta has shifted. Countless Conqueror and Gore users were hit, which allows Camille to take over as one of the most broken tops. Just like Tahm, if Camille isn't nerfed heading into 11.23, we would be shocked. Win lane with the kill pressure from Ignite, snowball that into multiple kills due to pick power from E, and annihilate everyone in sight with true damage at 2 items. There are few glaring weaknesses to Camille right now, which makes her such a lethal pick. Teemo is a good ban to consider as his buffs make the matchup more difficult. Best Camille build is a Divine Sunderer or Trinity Force Rush into Ravenous Hydra second and Sterix third. Run Grasp with Shield Bash, Bone Plating, and Unflinching for primaries. Best secondary runes are Magical Footwear and Biscuits. After being held down for a couple patches, Viego is back and cracks our top 3 for jungle. A few offensive-focused buffs have led to Viego's solo carry power rising extremely high. The new build being spammed over in Korea, consisting of a Shield Bow Rush into Essence Reaver second, provides insane snowball potential. Ultimate damage is off the charts as it scales with crit, therefore the core setup synergizes ridiculously well. The build provides a solid mix of one-shot power and consistent DPS. Of course, you can still play the more defensive Divine Sunderer setup, but this is a solo carry video after all, so we don't mess around with those. Being able to jump into fights, one-shot the enemy squishy, and then stall for your team as you go invulnerable from passive is so oppressive. The cleanup and 1v5 potential Viego has with this kit is unmatched by most other junglers. In regards to your rune page, grab Press the Attack with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. PTA is very underrated after the Conqueror nerfs, so try it out if you haven't already. Be sure to run Freeboots and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. The second jungle feature we have for you guys in 11.22 is Ekko. Ekko has been highly consistent ever since his passive buff and is a great solo carry pick for all elos right now. Ekko is loving the fact that early game focused bruiser picks like Lee Sin, Jarvan, and Xin Zhao have fallen in strength. As a champion who lacks a potent early skirmish, seeing less of those strong dueling junglers is perfect for Ekko. Mid-game is really where Ekko thrives with his Rocket Belt and Nashor's Spike. You have a great mix of burst and consistent DPS from this build, which makes it really smooth to play. Once you hit these items, control objectives and look to punish the enemies as they walk into fog. Ekko W is a game changer if you can catch the enemy team grouped up entering choke points. Best rune page for Ekko is Dark Harvest, followed by Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collector, and Ravenous Hunter. Secondaries include Free Boots and Cosmic Insight. Taking home our third jungle slot for 11.22 is none other than KhaZix. Despite the Q nerfs this patch, KhaZix will remain a top solo carry option. It's kinda strange Riot decided to go the direct nerf approach when Ghostblade Rush is really what's making picks like Ka and Graves so strong. Ever since Ghostblade was buffed a while back, this champion has been an absolute beast to solo carry with. Ability for you to snowball out of control and take matters into your own hands is unmatched. Not only do you have immense mobility, but the stealth factor from Ultimate and Duskblade make it so difficult for the enemy to catch you out. It really feels like the counterplay is severely lacking when playing against a good KhaZix. Sample core build is Ghostblade Rush into Duskblade 2nd and Cyrilda's Grudge or Edge of Night 3rd. Dark Harvest or Electrocute are great keystone options. It all comes down to whether you prefer to instant pop from Electro or more extended fight potential from Harvest. For our question of the day, who is that one champion you always love to see your teammates lock in? For me, it has to be an easy to execute tank with strong engage, and Malphite fits the bill in that regard. Those consistent picks who are always useful even when they end early on gives you a solid chance to win when team fights break out. What about you guys though? Who do you enjoy having on your team the most? Let us know in the comments below. Mid lane meta is definitely in an interesting spot right now as Lux has taken over as the #1 mage. Plain and simple, the buffs from 11.21 have lifted her to new heights as Lux is a premier solo carry mid we would highly recommend. Lux ultimate was already on a relatively short cooldown, but as a result of the buff combined with the fact you run Transcendence and Ultimate Hunter in runes, the CD is exceptionally low. This allows you to constantly take advantage of Pig's plays, which is so vital for winning games in solo queue. Catching the enemy out with your bind as they walk into Fog of War and one-shotting them with your full combo will bring you lots of success. Make sure to ban out Yasuo as his wind wall and mobility counter Lux pretty hard. Complete core build is a Luden's Rush into Horizon Focus 2nd and Zanya's or Deathcap 3rd. Prioritize Zanya's against Heavy Dive or Assassins and Rabadon's otherwise. Comet works best as the keystone with Transcendence, Mana Flow, and Gathering Storm. Roll with Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. Predator on certain mid lane picks is extremely powerful right now and has given Vladimir a jolt of extra carry potential. As the patches progress, more and more players are catching on to how lethal the rune is, and Vlad's win rate continues to rise because of it. Vlad comes online super hard level 9 onwards once Q is maxed out and he's got a few items. Carrying in the later stages is no issue at all for the champ. What Predator allows is for Vlad to not only find great pick plays later on, but be more active around the map in the early stages. Beating out the enemy mid on a rotation is very easy with Predator, and you will find yourself snagging a few extra kills here and there to accelerate towards your mid-game spike faster. Mal's or Anivia are two harder matchups for Vlad you may want to consider banning, but they're picked pretty infrequently, which makes Vlad even better. Full rune page is Predator followed by Taste of Blood, Ghost Poro, and Relentless Hunter. Run Transcendence and Gathering Storm for secondaries. Standard build is a Rocket Belt Rush into Cosmic Drive 2nd and Azanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Returning for another patch as a top 3 solo carry mid is Vex. Are we really even surprised that the newest champion is one of the strongest in the game? Vex's kit has solo queue domination written all over it. Ultimate may take a little time to get used to, but it's not even all that difficult to land as the hitbox is deceptively large. Tagging a squishy with your ult is a guaranteed one-shot when ahead, which gives you the ability to take care of enemy-fed carries. Due to Lux's long-range pick, it's a more difficult matchup for Vex to handle, so we would recommend you ban her out. Into meta champs with dashes like LeBlanc, Yone, and Silas, you'd expect Vex to perform well, but holding a 55% win rate against them is quite insane. Core build for Vex is Luden's into Horizon Focus 2nd and Zanya's 3rd. Interchanging Horizon and Zanya's is a good strategy depending on the enemy composition. Prioritizing Zanya's earlier is great when against Assassin comps or Heavy Dive. Rune page is Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Ultimate Hunter. Run Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. An absolute rock for ADC who will bring the most consistent results for 11.22 is Misfortune. Ban rate is relatively high at around 15%, but when left open, MF should be on every ADC's radar if you're serious about climbing. The 11.21 nerfs were nothing more than a little scratch, as running Mana Flow with Biscuits helps make up for the lost mana. Ease of execution and ability to follow up on supports engage is what makes MF such a great solo carry. Lux back in meta as a highly picked support is amazing, while Leona and Amumu are top picks who also synergize way too well. For example, if Lux hits a bind at level 6, it's a guaranteed kill 100% of the time as you follow with ultimate to burst the enemy out. Lots of options in regards to Misfortune's build, as lethality and crit both have a place. Lethality is great when against squishier comps, while crit performs best into more bruisers or tanks. Pick up Comet with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch for primary runes. Optimal secondaries are Magical Footwear and Biscuits. Holding strong as one of the best marksmen for multiple patches in a row has been Jhin. Some updates for Jhin this patch include rune optimization. As we pointed out in previous videos, the Ingenious Hunter buffs would be really interesting for a pick like Jhin, and it's slowly catching on. Stat-wise, Ravenous and Ingenious perform identically at the moment, which is really nice. Some versatility in regards to rune options makes you think a little more and be strategic with your choice. When the value of Gale Force active is very high, then opting for Ingenious Hunter is great. For example, when against skill shot reliant champs or hard engage, this is where you prioritize Ingenious for the shorter active cooldown. If against immobile tanks or less engaged threat, grabbing Ravenous to sustain throughout fights is the play. This is if you want to run Dark Harvest, as Fleet is also completely viable. Fleet, along with Biscuits and Time Warp for secondaries, is the more defensive sustained setup. The Dark Harvest page is great when paired with an aggressive support, so you can capitalize on early all-in plays. Gale Force into the Collector and Rapid Fire Cannon is the cookie cutter build. Ghostblade Rush is criminally underrated on Jhin though, and gives him an extra layer of mobility that helps a ton. Until Shield Bow is nerfed and Enchanters fall out of meta, we don't see Vayne going anywhere from the top 3. Everything aligns so perfectly for Vayne in the current meta, which is why she has been a highly contested pick. Once you have Shield Bow and Wit's End completed with a Lulu or Soraka by your side, it's nearly impossible for opponents to take you down. Let's talk a little bit about rune optimization for Vayne. Korean Vaynes are starting to transition over to Inspiration Secondary, and it's winning slightly more than Domination after the Ravenous nerfs. Biscuits, along with Cosmic Insight, are what you'll want to pick up. Primary runes are very standard with PTA followed by Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. As for the core build, Shield Bow into Wit's End and Rage Blade is very standard. However, you can swap out Wits for PD in games where enemy comp lacks magic damage. Past 2 patches have been really quiet for the support role, so Amumu has remained on top as a valuable carry. The long-range engage potential and potent team fight at level 6 are exactly what you want in solo carry support. Gank Assist is insanely strong due to the 2 Q charges and allows you to take advantage of early jungle pressure. Chain CC potential from Q and Ultimate let you lock down an opponent for multiple seconds, allowing your team to follow up and finish off kills. Pair Amumu with MF and collect your free elo. Any ADC who has long-range follow-up damage is great, so Jhin and Lucian being in meta works perfectly. Core build is Locket Rush, followed by Thornmail 2nd and Abyssal Mask 3rd. Run Aftershocks the Keystone with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter are optimal secondaries. Another insanely consistent support you should be spamming in 11.22 is Soraka. Yuumi nerfed will put even more priority on Soraka as the best enchanter. Raka has been insanely good ever since the ultimate buffs a few patches back. All the healing from Moonstone, Redemption, W, and Ultimate provide your carries with disgusting sustain for teamfights. The real party starts once you complete Warmogs, as you have permanent healing from W. Extended fights where you can sit safely in the backline are where you thrive the most. With the tanky bruiser meta in full effect for top lane, it suits Soraka's playstyle the best. Guardian nerfs have seen the rune fall in priority on Soraka, but it's still viable in lanes where enemy has a hard engaged support. Airy is the other option, which works best in double ranged matchups or against weaker engaged melee picks. If you're a Blitzcrank main, then the past few months have been treating you exceptionally well. Blitz may be the longest standing champ we've had in the top 3, as patch after patch he continues to be a dominant force. We mentioned last patch that Predator is a viable keystone option now after its buffs, and the play rate is finally starting to spike. Aftershock and Guardian still have their place, but definitely look into prioritizing Predator in the correct situations. If your mid is playing a champ with strong gank assist, Predator is amazing. Matchups can also dictate whether you run this rune, as it's great when your ADC is playing a weaker early game pick, or if the enemy bot is difficult to kill. Run around the map, snowball every lane out of control. There's not much more you can ask for in a solo carry support. Core build for Blitz is a Locket or Shirelius Rush into Zeke 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Don't sleep on Frozen Heart when against heavy AD. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into Elo Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $4.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So until next time, thanks for watching everyone, good luck in solo queue, and have a great day.